Hey guys, this is P.M.R.Bonez88's, and today for my next sci-fi movie review that I'll be talking about today is The Terminator, which is the director James Cameron that directed this film, and this film came in theaters in 1984, and it also stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, and Michael Biehn. So for this movie that James Cameron directed, it was really a low-budget B movie, but for this film, it like hit the box office, like hit the big ground money to be a big, huge successful for this sci-fi horror action film. So the movie starts out with the Terminator traveling back in time. His mission is to kill Sarah Connor, and along with Kyle Reese that travel back in time too to find Sarah Connor. So somehow the Terminator just like starts killing each and every different Sarah Connors, and he always picks the wrong Sarah Connor one. So Sarah decides to go out at night on her own, and there she's just being followed by Kyle. And somehow when she was being followed, she goes into the club place called Technar. She tries to make a phone call by the police, but the phone calls were like busy. And while she was in there, the Terminator goes into her apartment and sees and kills her roommate Ginger and her boyfriend Matt. And so when the Terminator kills Ginger, and at first he thought it was Sarah, but it wasn't. But when the voicemail reaches up and records the message, hears Sarah's message to realize where she was at, and that's where the Terminator persuades and goes to the club place, and where he spots Sarah like sitting down waiting for someone. Terminator begins to pull out his gun, almost begins to kill Sarah, and that's where Reese pops up and just shoots the Terminator. And then he just like gets up and starts killing everybody. Well, not all of them, just like missing and killing all the people in the club. And that's where Reese helps Sarah, and that's where the chase begins. The best two scenes of the car chases was where Reese gets away from the Terminator, and then the second scene where the Terminator goes after them. But I don't want to like go ahead of myself. So anyways, where Reese shoots down the Terminator, and somehow the cops catches Sarah and Kyle and takes them back to the station. The Terminator like goes into his own place, and he was all badly wounded and damaged, so he fixed his own wounds. And the most gruesome, disturbing scene ever is where the Terminator uses a scalpel and just like takes out his damaged eye. It looks almost so real. It may be kind of cheesy, but this was before where CGI came in. When he was all fixed up, he goes into the station and now continues on his mission to kill Sarah Connor. He kills all the cops at the station one by one, and Reese and Sarah just like gets away from him. Kyle and Sarah find and stay at a hotel, and Sarah decides to call on her mother to let her know where she was at. But somehow the Terminator broke into her cabin and killed her mother, and using her voice as in disguise. And by the time he hung up, he called the hotel to find the location, and that's where the Terminator goes onto his motorcycle into full throttle. And while he was going after them, both Kyle and Sarah were just decided to, you know what, making out, making love for each other. Sorry folks, you can't watch this. So by the time the Terminator just tried to kill them, unfortunately, they weren't at their room. And Kyle and Sarah just took the guy's truck and got away from them, using the pipe bombs just to slow the Terminator down. And unfortunately, that Kyle got shot and Sarah just rammed the Terminator down. And somehow the Terminator was still up and alive. And then all of a sudden, this big truck just like bam, hit him like right in his face. Truck driver just like stopped his own truck, and the Terminator just like took the guy down. I don't know what he did. He either killed him or just knocked him down. So he stole his truck and continuing just to persuade and go after them. So Reese just used the pipe bomb just to kill the Terminator, and when he was caught on fire, they thought it was the end, that they finally destroyed it. But somehow he wasn't down, not by an inch. So the revealing of this Terminator, that we see him like all this cybernetic, that cyborg endoskeleton right up the end of the film, and with using the combination of all these effects that they use, like the puppeteers to make the foot, like use the legs as realistic, and use half of the body of the Terminator to moving around, moving like it's human in some sort. And the film animation, it was like really good, and it sometimes can be a little dull, and sometimes it could be fake. You could definitely tell that it's just really a puppet that's just like not really moving too much. So they try to use all these different kind of visual effects that they could use to make the Terminator so real, and it did work. It was really good, and it was really successful and superb to see how the Terminator can move, how can it like attack and fight off, and what it sees. So by almost close to the end, that Reese just used his last pipe bomb just to destroy it. Terminator was like still up and now still functioning to continuing on his mission, and by the time Sarah just like closed the gate on him and just like used some sort of a machine to crush it down. So that was the end of the Terminator. So at the end of the film, Sarah decides to run off, and she was pregnant, and the guy said that there was a storm coming, and she says, "I know." And that's where at the end that realized that there's another Terminator coming after her. So after done talking about this film, the first one is really a classic, and had good visual effects and good actors. Michael Biehn, that play as Kyle Reese, is, according to what Oliver Harper said, that he is an underdog actor, that we barely see him like doing all these good action films. I think the only good action films that what he has done and what we've seen him was Aliens and The Abyss. I've seen him in Planet Terror, but he didn't do too much. He just played as a sheriff. So that's all we've seen him. And Linda Hamilton, I don't really see her, not too often. I haven't seen her in like other action films either. Not since Terminator 2 and Dante's Peak. That's the last time I've seen her. And maybe I believe she's done a couple of TV series. I'm not sure which. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's still a good action man, and he's all into the action. It was really intense for him to be as the Terminator, and he has done like so many action films. It's like so great to see him back in the action, and he'll be returning into the upcoming film of Terminator Genocides. So I'll be looking forward to see that too. The director James Cameron, he did good of directing this film and having all the visual effects and all the big scenes that's happening, even the future scenes and action scenes and the big action chase scene between the Terminator and Kyle Reese and Sarah. I think he did a great job on him. Seeing what the pictures of what the Terminator would be like and being all nightmarish and having a big combination between of sci-fi, action, and horror. All three of these genres, it really did good. It was really successful, especially with the makeup effects by Stan Winston, who did a great job putting the makeup on Schwarzenegger to make him look like as the Terminator. So sometimes we cannot be even too sure if that's really Arnold as in person as the Terminator or just a puppet that really looks like Arnold, but it really picked out the great illusion, and he did a great job on it too. So, just to rate this first film, I would have to give it a 98 out of 100. A great classic film, great class epic 1984 classic. It has all the great visual effects and the sound effects, even so that they did change it from Dolby Stereo to 5.1 Dolby Surround sounds, and they have to change everything. But it didn't really bother me, so I didn't really care about the sound effects. I just want to see this film that's so intense and so great to see a great Terminator movie ever. And unlike with the other sequels, but of course Terminator 2 just like hit the box office, like really made it huge successful. But the first film is really a classic for me. And I do own this movie on Blu-ray and DVD. And this is P.M.R.Bonez88 signing off. His saying is, peace!
I'll be back.